So our topic would be the policy on terrorism, particularly focusing on the hostage-taking situation. So this principle, naay 9 ka principle o unsaon sa part of the government to partake or to order effort to modify and improve the policies, improve sa crisis or sa situations which is involved from terrorism. So number one would be the subscription to anti-terrorism covenants. So the Philippines subscribed to all international conventions and initiatives against terrorism, which means ang Philippines wala siya nag-act alone sa pag-fight sa terrorism. Our government subscribed to all major international conventions and agreements against terrorism, which means kanang nagkumita to cooperate with other countries, mag-share ng intelligence, mag-assist sa investigation, o mag-participate in a joint operations kanang to prevent and neutralize the terrorist acts. For example, kanang ang Philippines nag-work sa United Nations and the ASEAN countries to address issues like mga cross-border terrorism and hostage-taking mga which is involve mga international travelers. The second would be peaceful means and other options in the resolution of a crisis. So the government must exhaust all peaceful means for using force. So ngano man eh? So why should we exhaust our all means? So to prevent loss of life, which is especially the hostage, and to avoid mga unnecessary destruction of property, and to reduce escalation and could make the situation worse. So the peaceful means include negotiation. So talking with the hostage takers to persuade them to release the hostage voluntarily. Number 2 would be mediation. Kanang mag-involve ta mga third party like mga religious leaders or mga family members ng hostage baka which magka-influence sa captors ang ng hostage. And offering mga safe exits or safe certain demands kanang within the legal limits lang to avoid bloodshed. So if ang peaceful options kana fail, walay nagkuan sa sa agreement, then ang government is authorized sila nga mag-use sila mga celebrated arm action. So naga dire gibutang. So if peaceful methods fail, use calibrated arm actions appropriate to the situation, prioritizing safety of victims and civilians. So if mag-fail ang katuntulok ka options nga akong giingon, ang government is authorized sila nga mag-use og force. Meaning kanang only the degree of necessary in a way nga ang life sa hostage kay safety og ma-prioritize pud ang safety sa civilians. Number 3, coordinated and calculated response against terrorism. So maximize the role of the National Peace and Order Council, NPOC, and crisis management committees. So ang government is mag-ensure sila mga response which is not impulsive but planned na iplano, dili pinakalit-kalit nga plano lang. So using the NPOC or National Peace and Order Council and crisis management committees, mag-continue sila mga planning, training, and mag-research how to handle crisis nga mag-fit sa Philippine cultures, values ug sa Philippines justice system. For example, kanang before any rescue operations, ang PNP Special Action Force or SAF or the AFP Scout Rangers baka mag-gather sila og intelligence, i-analyze nila ang pattern sa captors ug mag-prepare sila mga entry plan rather than impulsively rushing blindly to save the hostage. 4. Terrorism as a criminal act. So, all terrorist actions are considered crimes under the revised penal code and special laws. So, ang government considers all terrorism, including hostage-taking, as criminal acts, no matter what the motivation, whether it is political, religious, or personal revenge, etc. It is considered as criminal acts. So these are prosecuted under the revised penal code and the special laws like the Anti-Terrorism Act. So the state will pursue lawful measures to prevent such acts and bring the perpetrators to justice. So example case ani kanang let's say na ay hostage taking inside sa bus sa Manila involving mag-involve ang mga foreign tourists kana mga atong ginatawag nga alien. So unsa man step 1 nga atong buhaton. So i-negotiate nato calmly ang suspect which is katunang hostage, i-find out nato ang iyang demands ug ang i-gain nato ilang trust. Step 2. So meanwhile ang crisis team or ang staff or ang PNP mag-prepare sila unsa ilang mga actions, tactical options to talk if mag-fail ang ilahang negotiations. Step 3, if ang negotiation kay mag-collapse and ang suspect kay mag-start na siya og kanang i-harm na niya ang hostage, so dili na din mabuta ang tactical force og i-execute which is planned assault or calculated assault to save as many lives as possible. So step 4, ang survivors receive, if mag-survive na, mag-receive na sila og medical and psychological support. And if ang perpetrator, if alive, wish to ng hostage, mag-face siya mga terrorism charges. Compromise with terrorists. So the government must not give in to terrorist demands including ransom or concessions. So the policy is simple. We do not give in to terrorist demands. Why? Because if mag-grant tag ransom, concession or special favors baka sa terrorists, murag gina-encourage nato sila nga mag-hostage na lang. So it sends a message that ang terrorism would work in us, for us. So, if mag-consesta, magranta sila kung sa ilang gusto, it weakens our government authority. So, this gives the terrorists the resources or power to commit more crimes instead. Sa example, if ang group nga nag-take og hostage and nag-demand sila og 10 million, if ang atong government will not pay because doing so funds future terrorism. Instead, ang negotiators will focus on peaceful persuasions, itong gakong ginaingon nga negotiations, mediations, and katong isa. Or para makontrol ang ilang mga tactical response. Respect for human rights. So responders must always respect human rights, including those of terrorists and terrorist suspects. So avoid unnecessary harm or abuse during operations. So means can even intense and dangerous situation nata, human rights must be respected. Of course, this is included the hostages. They have the right to life, dignity, and safety. Ang rights of public. Even the suspects, they must not be tortured, humiliated, or are armed or unharmed unnecessarily if they are captured alive. So, why man i-respect nato ang human rights? So, this ensures that our government response remains lawful, ethical, o nag-align siya sa mga international standards. So, number 7. Prompt handling of a crisis at the lowest level possible. Terrorist-related crises are generally police matters. So, not every terrorism incident needed siya og mga military intervention. So, by default, ang hostage situation kay police matters, which means ang handled lang siya sa PNP crisis unit. So, escalate to higher authorities. So, if the situation escalates, kandi na siya madalag kanang it is too large to or dangerous for a local police to handle, ayan na dayon mag-elevate to higher authorities. Dira na dayon mag-intervene ang military, ma-involve, dira na sila ma-involve. So, this principle also pushes LGUs, police, and military to build their own capacity to manage crisis without waiting. Di na sila magulatulat sa mga national government para mag-step in. 8. Public information management and advocacy. So, handle media information carefully to avoid jeopardizing operations. So, in hostage crisis, information is power and mishandling can cost life. So, ang government must gina-control nila ang flow of information sa atong media, so it does not i-reveal ang tactical plans sa terrorists. So official must speak with one voice to avoid, para i-avoid ang confusions o ang mga misinformations. Then use advocacy to inform the public. So why certain actions to public understand why certain actions are taken without compromising the operation. For example, if ang SWAT team is nagprepared sila to enter a building, the media must not broadcast live shots of their position. So because the hostage takers might be watching sa ilahang live ka. So ang ilang operation would be jeopardized. So ma-feel na hinoon. And lastly, safety of victims and civilians. So the top priority is the safety of the hostages, nervy civilians, and rescue personnel. So if involving foreign national requires coordination with their government. So if ang hostage is foreigner siya, na foreign involved, so ang government nato diri sa Philippines mag-coordinate na siya closely sa ilahang embassies to ensure nga ang actions is nagrespect sa diplomatic relations o also sa international protocol. So natay scenario if ang hostage taking naay hostage taking diri sa mall sa Valencia ha. So atong initial response would be atong local police diri sa Valencia, which is sila ang mag-take charge. I-secure nila ang perimeter ag mag-start sila og negotiation sa suspect for the safety of the hostage. 2 would be the media. So ilang i-instruct ang media nga dili mag-release og live or dili i-broadcast ang mga plano or tungkol sa mga sensitive details para ma-jeopardize ang plan sa atong local police. So human rights. So negotiators ensure nga ang atong hostage taker is treated with respect during talks, even though nga ang iyahang actions kay criminal. So compromise, if magdemand ang ato ang suspect ug unsa ba iyang i-demand, dili ta mag-give in ditso pero maghatag tag mga alternatives nga i-discuss to convince unsaon siya pag-convince para mo surrender siya. Og if mag-escalate na gyud siya, di na niya ma-handle ang danger kay nag-increase na gyud, di dayon ta mga og tabang sa military or sa mga special forces. And so ang lastly, security priority. So all decisions sa ato ang mga local enforcers dapat gina-prioritize nila ang unsaon pag-free sa hostage alive, even if it means delaying entry by several arts. So key lessons sa government hostage taking policy is ang balance between the firmness or no concessions, which is no concession, dili ta mag-give in kung unsa man ang demand sa mga terrorists. Humanity, ang human rights sa mga civilian, og apil ang terrorist na pod aras. Precision, atong coordinated response sa mga local authorities, unsaon nato ato mga plano, nga precise nga plano para unsaon nato pag-free ang hostage alive or unharmed. And protection, safety of all involved, including the civilian. So this step ensures nga ang terrorists do not win, but innocent lives still remains the top priority. Anti-terrorism. This principle indicated the RA 11479 or Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020. So this law provides the framework and guiding principles for how the Philippine government approaches the fight against terrorism. So not just in hostage-taking situations, but in all forms of terrorist activity. Number 1 will be the protection of life, liberty, and property from terrorism. So the first priority of the government is to safeguard the lives of the people. I-protect ang ilang freedom o i-defend ang ilang private and public property from terrorist threats or attacks. So this means mga preventive actions like mga intelligence operations, security measures, and quick response when threat arises. So, example if there's an intelligence about a planned bombing in Metro Manila, ang law enforcement or ang PNP will act immediately. Mag-conduct sila surveillance, i-arrest ang suspects, and securing the area to protect the public before the harm is done. So, the protection of life, liberty, and property, which is what I've said. 2, the condemnation of terrorism as inimical and dangerous to the national security of the country and to the welfare of the people. So this law clearly rejects and condemns terrorism because condemns kanang against kaayo because this terrorism is a threat to our national security. Harmful siya sa welfare sa ato ang people. So, terrorism disrupt our peace, our economic stability, and trust nato sa government. So, this condemnation isn't just symbolic. It is backed by the strict penalties and expanded powers for security forces to stop the terrorist activity. Lastly, terrorism is a crime against the Filipino people, humanity, and the laws of the nation. So, ang terrorism is treated as a serious criminal offense not only in the Philippines but against siya sa humanity as a whole. So, ang law aligns sa Philippines with the international law and the global community efforts to fight terrorism. So, this means terrorists can face charges not only dili lang sa Philippine law sila na ikaso, but also it can be, if applicable, pwede po sila makasuhan sa international court. So, example, if ang terrorist attack is nahitabo sa Pilipinas but ilang target is a foreign citizens, so that case may be involve international cooperation and a suspect could be extradited or tried under international human rights and humanitarian law. So, RA 11479 sets a firm stance which is to protect lives, reject terrorism, and treat it as a grave crime against both the nations and the world. So, this is dili lang siya about sa punishment, but it's all about the prevention, global cooperations, and to protect of democratic freedom. So, this is the end of my report. So, agto lang mo sa part 3, kaya napay part 3 sunod ani na. I will be putting the link in the description box below. Bye guys!